opportunities to what we call their independent labs. You may have another name from an SLR standpoint. But during this time, we've been evaluating, talking to your colleagues, trying to figure out what's working, what's not working with your retirement plans. But before I begin today, I just want to ask a question, and the reason why I want to ask the question is, hear me out. If I ask you, where should I go tonight for dinner? What would you recommend?
Olive Garden?
Olive Garden?
Lucille's?
Where's that?
Lucille's?
Lucille's? Okay. And what is that?
Depends where you're
Lucille's?
staying. Where are you staying? Let's start with that.
The Embassy Suites.
Oh, nearby.
Yes, I'm staying nearby.
Yeah, the restaurant is nearby is really good, right?
Is that Downey?
Steak? Yes, it is
Downey,
down.
yeah.
It is down.
Because if I ask you now, can you give me 3 investment options that are currently in your retirement plan, can you do it? And I would say, before we look a little, tired or complex here, the answer is no. So I always tell everyone, if you know more about where you're eating, or who's on the Dodgers, or who's playing for the Lakers, than you know about your retirement plan, we need to have the conversation, we should talk. Okay? So during this presentation, I wanted to be very open and fire away questions. I have a few notes here. Did everyone receive the printouts of how to log into your account?
Yes.
Okay. This is extremely important, and I'm going to refer to this here in a few slides. Oh, okay. All right, information only. So what's happening? All right. Through the iCode, your monies, not your funds, your monies will be moved from the iCode plan over to the Prudential plan, also known as the SLR of America Savings Plan. All right, so there's going to be this brief period, what we call blackout. This is supposed to happen on February 1st, so roughly 2 weeks from now. These dates are going to be very important, okay? A little bit about Prudential. Let me take a step back. A little bit about Salmon and Centurion Group. Salmon Centurion Group is an independent financial advisor or registered investment advisor. I have no affiliation with an ADP, with Prudential, Fidelity, Vanguard. My job solely is to educate participants and be the fiduciary for a retirement plan and the investments within the retirement plan. So if you as a participant have any questions, you can call me, reach out to me. It does not cost you a dime. Remember, this is free. It's paid through SLR, through your parent company, right? They pay for my services. So someone might call and say, hey, Sam, I just have a question around debt consolidation. I'm thinking about borrowing from my 401k plan. Should I borrow from my 401k plan to consolidate my debt? Sam, I'm thinking about, maybe there's this chance that I'm gonna have to put some money away for this next big purchase. Please don't hesitate to reach out, give me a call, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you. Or if you want to talk to somebody from Prudential, you can as well. Prudential has been in the business for over 90 years. I would tell you that they've actually been in the insurance business greater than 95 years, so over 100 years of experience. They're a $428 billion organization, extremely large. One of the largest record keepers out there. There's over 4.3 million plan participants. And why that's important is that just shows you the scope, the depth, and the breadth that Prudential can offer you as a participant in the retirement plan. So what does this mean to you? The assets will be liquidated once again. They will be liquidated at ADP. It will become a cash value, and then that cash value is sent over to Prudential. You have the option to choose new investments at Prudential today. So if you had an opportunity or you had this printout, you can log on to the Prudential website, okay, and make your investment election. If you do not do anything, okay, you're going to be automatically enrolled into the plan at 3%, and you go into the target date fund closest to your anticipated date of retirement. So let's just say that Francis and I are the same age. We're 21 years old. We're going to retire when we're 65. We have over 40 years still to work. we're gonna be in a target date fund that's gonna be closer to 2060 to 2065. Now, Francis and I are the same age, and we're 65, and we're gonna be retiring in the next 3 to 5 years. We could be in the, let's just call it the goal maker or goal manager model, okay? That is the most conservative, and that could be the 2015 to the 2020. It's important to understand that it does not take into consideration your risk tolerance for the default option. So Francis could be very aggressive, I could be very conservative, or vice versa. If that is the case, there are 3 different models for each year. There's a conservative, a moderate, and an aggressive. So I could be someone that says, you know, I didn't save a lot of money, and I really need over the next couple, 5, 10 years, I really need to make up for my lost time that I didn't save. I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive. So I can use an aggressive model. I could change the date as well. Or I can say I'm getting closer to retirement, and now I need to pull back a little bit, be a little bit more conservative. So I use the conservative model over a moderate or an aggressive. I know this might sound a little strange to you, and you really haven't had the chance to go in and look at your goal maker models, but if you do get a chance, please log in tonight. I'll be here tomorrow as well. If you have questions, give me a call, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about this. There is a transition brochure that you should have received by now. Has anyone received or remember receiving a packet from Prudential? Okay. Probably like 30 pages, and you looked at it and you said, what is this? I don't have time to read this, and you discard it. Save it, give me a call, because there is something important in there, which we're gonna talk about, your beneficiary designation form shortly. Any questions so far?
And this is the packet, right?
Yes, that is the packet. That is the packet. All right. So the window is now open. Today, the window has been opened, has been lifted for you at Prudential, that you can log in, and here's the steps when you log in through the slawyer.pro. It's on your one page on the front and back. You can log into your account. The last day for you to do any investment changes, take a loan or a distribution, is the 25th of January. So less than just about a week away. I would say less than 10 days. I am very, very cautious to tell you that 25th date. Simply because somebody's gonna come to me on the 26th or 27th and say, I need a loan, or I need to refinance my loan. How do I do that? Once the plan goes into blackout, it is frozen. Their contributions are not gonna change. The investments cannot change. They literally are taking a snapshot of all the participant accounts, all your colleagues' accounts, your name, address, how much money you have, dividends. All that information gets transferred over to Prudential from ADP. That blackout period is also important because during that time when they're transferring the records, you can't make any changes. That stretches from January 25th to on or about February 13th. I like to give a little bit broader of a time frame, okay? Because if it comes out of blackout earlier, I look better. If it extends past the 13th, people get upset and they may, start yelling at me or yelling at Francis or someone on the team saying, what happened? I need access to my money. At the end of the month on January 31st, your account transfers over. And once again, that was the liquidation of all of your investments. Those dollars move over to Prudential, and then after the 13th. I'm gonna quiz you on these dates. Okay, what to consider? Well, I need to save a little bit more each year. I've been doing this for about 25 years, and in my 25 years, I started with Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Benner and Smith. I've never had a participant come to me and say, Sam, you were wrong about this particular item. I've been wrong, don't get me wrong, on several occasions. But no one's ever come to me and said, Sam, you told me to save 15% of my salary, and now I have too much money for retirement. I don't know what to do. What should I do? Should I give it away? That's never happened, okay? Everyone that's retiring comes to me and says, I don't have enough Do you have a silver bullet? I need to make this, happen in the next 3, 6, maybe, 9 years. Start young, start early. Selecting investments is extremely important, but not as important as contributing to a retirement plan. Let me say that again. Selecting investments is important, but it's not as important as contributing to your retirement plan. The number one vehicle, or what we call lever, for participants to save enough for retirement and live comfortably is to contribute to the retirement account. If I put 5% into my account consistently over the next 10, 12, 15, 30 years, I'll have more money than trying to pick that one home run fund over a 3-year period or a 5-year period, because my money doesn't have time to work for me, the time value of money. Any questions so far? Some of these slides are compliance, and I have to show them. The maximum that you can contribute to a retirement plan is $19,000. If you're the age of 50 during the calendar year, you can do an additional $6,000, known as a catch-up contribution. From a compliance standpoint, I have to tell everybody that. People are going to say, Sam, I'm never going to get $19,000 into my retirement plan. I'm going to have a hard time getting $2,000. I understand. That's why I'm here to help you figure out what is the best solution to help you get to that financial success or retire with comfort and dignity. Try to increase your deferral percentages every year. That is not a compliance, as much as I like to tell everybody. What happens all too often is we get into a retirement plan, we put 3% of our pay away, and then that's it. We just stop at 3%. I will tell you that the average contribution into a retirement plan for an individual that is 30 years old needs to be at least 10%, okay? That's so they have enough money for retirement. That number can change depending on geographic location. Somebody living here in LA has to save a little bit more money than someone that's living in Tuscaloosa or someplace down in Louisiana, all right? Just total different lifestyle, total different cost of living. One of the important things that I have to mention is your company match is increasing, okay? It's 100% on the first 6% that you contribute. So if you put in $6, you get $6 of company match, okay? Think of it as a dollar for dollar that you can contribute. So if you put $60 in, they're gonna give the employer, ICO's gonna give you $60. That is the company match. I don't know anyone here that wants to leave money on the table, okay? Leaving money on the table is when we sit back and we look at it, I hear all the time, I should have joined the retirement plan 3 years ago, but I didn't. I thought I'd get to it next year. It doesn't happen. We're gonna talk about how we get over that inertia. But don't leave any money on the table. The company will give you 100% on the first 6% that you contribute. And if you remember, does anyone know how much ICOT was contributing prior to this merger, or I should say the new plan change? 4%, right? 100% on the first 4%. Fantastic. Here's an example from a compliance standpoint. Chris and Pat started working at ICOT. Chris started contributing to his retirement plan at age 25. Pat started contributing at age 25, and during this time, you can see they both put in their 4% each year. The difference what Pat did was he did the auto increase or auto escalation of 1% until he got to the 15% per year. When we look at retirement at age 65, you can see there's a significant difference between how much Chris and Pat actually has saved. Does anyone see that just putting that 1% in makes a difference? Too many times I hear someone say, well, Sam, I just really can't get into the plan. I strongly encourage you to think about just putting in 1, 2, 3%, at least to get started into the retirement plan if you're currently not in. This clearly will show you over time, those dollars will add up. And if you do 4% on $50,000, it's $2,000 going into the retirement plan. This money right here that is being deferred into the retirement plan is only Chris's money. It's not even including the money that's being contributed from his employer. Any questions? Okay. How many people here like to select their own investments? Anyone? Okay. It's complicated, it's challenging. What I see all too often is people really select investments based on emotion. How did the market do last year? Pretty good, first, second, third quarter, right? Fourth quarter came around and whack. We got whacked in the fourth quarter. The market pulled back, there was a correction. And at that time, people get out of the market and say, I'm done, I can't take it anymore. They move, they put their money into the safest investment vehicle. And then the market rebounds and starts going back up, and they're still sitting in that money market or that stable value account. And then the market continues to go up, and they're still in that money market, stable value account. 6 years later, they say, I think I'm gonna get into the market now. It's been going pretty good. And that's when the market correction happens again. So we're letting emotion really drive the investments that we're selecting. If you're do-it-yourself, you have the ability to go in and select from several funds in the retirement plan, and I'll get to those funds here. From large cap to small cap, from value to growth, some international. You have the ability to build your own portfolio. If you're someone that says, you know what, I want you to do it for me. I've been in a target date fund, that's really letting someone manage that money for me. That's the route that I want to go. Goalmaker is fantastic. There's also a risk tolerance time horizon questionnaire out there on the Prudential website. When you go through it, it'll tell you what type of investor you are. So I'm going to ask everybody, who's more of an aggressive investor, males or females? Males, right? Males going to beat their chests. I'm aggressive. Who's the first ones to make a change once the market has a correction? The males. I thought I was doing pretty good. I was up 15% last year, and the market corrected. Now I just moved all my money. Most of the time, women, and these are statistics. This is just purely statistics. Most of the time, women, when they do save, they save at a conservative rate. Generally, that conservative rate that they're saving at is 4 to 5% of their money. And the investments that they're selection are generally more conservative in nature. Who lives longer, women or men? Women. So now that they live longer, but they're more conservative, what do they need to do? Take a little bit more risk. So we have to have those conversations. So Goalmaker, if you tell them what type of investor you are, and I could tell everybody, what type of investor, I can ask everyone, what type of investor you are, they tell me I'm aggressive or I'm moderate, and then I give you the example, hypothetical, if you had $100,000, and I told you at the end of the year, you could have $140,000, you can have $60,000, are you still comfortable? People are gonna shake their head and say, no, I'm not that comfortable. Not to have 140 or chance of losing 60 or 40,000 beyond 60. That's what happened in 2007 and 2008, right? When the market corrected itself. The S&P was down almost 38%, 38.5%. So we have to be very careful of how we invest. If you want to answer the questionnaire, and I tell you take it with your spouse, they'll kind of keep you in check, keep you in balance. I'm not going to go in there and say, oh, I'm aggressive. The spouse is going to come in and say, you know what, maybe let's think about this. Really, we're moderate. Or maybe we're even a combination between moderate and an aggressive investor. But it's better to take it with your spouse. When you do take that, it gives you an asset allocation model. It's going to tell you if you're conservative, moderate, or aggressive. It's going to automatically rebalance your account. And that means it sells your winners to buy your losers, to keep you in a particular model or asset. It's age adjusted, so the older you get, the more conservative it becomes. And here's something that's new and interesting at Prudential, and it's not offered by every vendor simply because they're not an insurance company. Prudential has the ability to offer an insurance-like annuity option in your retirement plan. Okay, the Income Flex. This is a guaranteed retirement income. So if you want to find out how much am I going to have in retirement if I put $10,000 away, what is that going to pay me? Prudential has a solution. That solution kicks in when you become age 55. Most of us up to age 55, we're really not looking for an annuity-like option. Does anyone here have an annuity or own an annuity? Okay, see a couple people shaking their heads. Everyone knows that the annuity is based on the full faith and claim of that issuing organization, and it's very expensive. If you go to buy an annuity, it pays the advisor, someone like myself, could pay them anywhere from 4 to 15%. Okay, 4 to 15%. So on $100,000, I could potentially get paid $15,000. That's why I'm hired by SLR. I can't sell you any ancillary lines of product or business, and I wouldn't do that. You have an income option within your retirement plan. This is what a goal maker model, a standard goal maker model looks like, okay, for a modern investor. You can see it's all broken out into these little pieces of the pie. Stable values that I want to call it, and forgive me, I am partially colorblind. The stable value is the top bluish green color, okay, on the top right-hand corner. And you can see how that actually looks. This is for someone that's a little bit more modern. So you see more stable value, more fixed income, more large cap, okay, than you do small cap or international. Higher risk, higher reward. Now, over time, what happens is your portfolio can get out of balance. You have large cap stocks that have performed very well. So it goes from being 15% to 19% during the year. At the end of the year, it's going to rebalance. It's going to sell 4% of your large cap stocks and move that money to the other position, potentially fixed income, that went from 10% down to 6%. So it'll sell 4% of the large cap and buy 4% of your fixed income. It will rebalance it for you. Now you can set that rebalance to be quarterly, it could be semi-annually, or it could be annually. Do you have a question?
I had a question. Which one of those are like the aggressive one?
So they're not aggressive. It is the same. It's the same portfolio, but what it's trying to illustrate is the colors, the green and the blues.
So as an example, it's not just everything that's available.
Correct.
Okay.
We're gonna get to that here.
Got it.
Okay.
And it's the water. Okay.
So when we look at the goal maker models, to the far right, you have 0 to 5 years to retirement. You can see that bluish green, once again, is larger than it is for the 16 plus years to retirement. Now this is a question, and I left the gift card, I apologize, in my office. I'll make sure that I stop and get one. I like to always raffle off a gift card in each session. Here's a question. At what point do you retire? Age, tell me a little bit about retirement.
65?
65, 67? 57? They're all good guesses. I tell everybody that, retirement is not an age, it's a function of wealth. If you save enough money, you can retire when you're 57. If you didn't save enough money, you're gonna be working into your late 60s or early 70s, okay? We all have been at some point shopping in a Walmart, and we walk into Walmart, and what's the first thing that we see? Usually an elderly person standing there, trying to point you in the right direction, a greeter. How are you today? How can I help you? They're not there because they want to be there. They're there generally because they retired maybe too soon, or they didn't anticipate the cost of healthcare. And over time, healthcare has been such a large factor in people's retirement that they didn't plan enough towards retirement. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that your monthly income for retirement is $2,000. Almost a quarter to 3/4 of that could be really focused towards your health care, depending upon obviously your health. medications become very costly. What we see here, once again, is, from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, the further you are out into retirement, the more equity income you may have, large cap stocks, small cap, international, those percentages get larger. As you get closer to retirement, they become more and more conservative. Now, each one of these models, once again, is 0 to 5, there's actually 3 models. There's a conservative, a moderate, and aggressive. And even the conservative would have a larger piece of that light bluish green up in the top because it would have more of the fixed account in there. Okay, so as we get closer to retirement, I was telling you at age 55, you have the ability to elect for the potential income flex to be added to your portfolio. That's the annuity option in your retirement plan. And that is generally for people 55 years and older, okay? If you'd elect to have this guaranteed annuity put into your retirement plan or into your account, it has a penalty, it has a penalty, I was right, it has a penalty of 1% if you try to get in or out time in the market, all right? There's an additional fee of 1% on the piece of the income flex as well. So there should be a second footnote here of a penalty trying to time the market. And what that actually means is you look at the market today and you say, oh, the market's doing poorly, I want to sell out, and you sell out tonight, then tomorrow you say, oh, the market's doing well and I want to buy the large cap stock, and you get back into large cap, and then you keep going back and forth, okay? That is what we call market timing. That is not permitted in the retirement plan. The features of Income Flex, it gives you a guaranteed income, okay? It protects on the downside. So when the market was correcting at the end of the fourth quarter of last year, there is this protection for you. You have complete access to your market value, and there is potential for growth. I'm very cautious when I tell people about this fund, especially when the market has a lot of volatility, that they just don't try to take all their money and stick it into the annuity account. That's the legal stuff. It acts just like any other investment in your retirement plan, okay? Once again, there's an exchange fee of 1% on the portion that you're invested. So if you have a $500,000 account balance because you've done exceptionally well for 45 years worth of savings, and of that $500,000, 100% is in your guaranteed account, the Income Flex, which can happen, but if it was, you'd be charged 1% on that $500,000. If there was $500,000 in that account and only $100,000 was in the Income Flex, you're only charged 1% on the $100,000, not on the full value of your account. If you're the do-it-yourselfer, you can see there's several investment options here. One thing I can't stress enough is you're now in a larger pool of money. Expense ratios are going to be lower. You'll have institutional priced funds. And when you take a look, you have your stable value, most conservative stable value, or your guaranteed income fund, has a rate of return about 2.25, 2.45, depending on the year, okay? Fixed income, everyone understands fixed income can lose value, right? If anyone opened up their statement, generally in the third or fourth quarter, their fixed income may have had a negative return. Then we get into, well, we have the Income Flex, and then we get into equities. From value to growth, your tech companies, from large cap to small cap, international, emerging markets. You have several investments to choose from with several investment processes or philosophies. Any questions on the investments? This is, actually, there's a couple that are even missing on this page. There's a retirement income calculator. By a show of hands, has anyone went on to the ADP website and used their income calculator? Okay, good. A couple people have been on there. It's a very similar app. The retirement income calculator generally gives you a couple levers to pull for retirement. One of them is you have to contribute more to your retirement plan if you want to achieve 80% of your retirement income. The next one is you may have to work a little bit longer. And then finally, but not least, if you don't want to work longer and you don't want to contribute more, it's going to tell you that you need to be a little bit more aggressive in your retirement plan. It helps you build a financial picture of where you're at in retirement. It gives you the ability to bring in outside assets, include or exclude Social Security. So it is a very comprehensive tool. I like to go and sit with participants like yourself to talk to you about retirement. Do you include Social Security? Do you exclude Social Security? Do you have any outside assets, spousal assets? And really go through each and every piece of your financial well-being. On the website, essilor.retirepru.com, that's where you can go on, review, update your profile, change your contribution rates. Everybody here, if I ask you, and because compliance is going to ask the same question, how much should you save for retirement? Well, how much should we save for retirement? 10%, 12%, right? What is the correct answer for your company match?
100%.
6%. That's right, gotta save 6%. You wanna pick up that company match. I tell everyone, it's just like if you come to me and you say, hey Sam, can I borrow $1? I say, sure, I give you $1, and then tomorrow you come back and you give me $2. And I said, well, what's that for? Well, that's for allowing me to borrow money from you. I'll give you the extra $1. The company match is very powerful. Don't let that money go back to the employer. The participant center is open, okay, generally from 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time through 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. I said Eastern, it should be Central Standard Time. If there is a chance that you need to talk before or after, you can always give myself a call. Now, to be clear, I do not have the ability to make changes on your behalf. Okay, I can't make an investment change, I can't increase or decrease your deferral percentages, but I can walk you through it. We can talk to Prudential. It needs to be on a recorded line and or done through your computer, smartphone, tablet, etc. That's the end of this presentation.